Do you ever feel like sometimes you need permission before you can say a song or a piece of art is finished? It's like we're looking for other people's feedback or engagement before we can actually say, okay, the song is done and I'm moving on. It's like you don't trust yourself enough, so you have to say it, see what other people are saying or how they feel about it before you release something. And I think that's something, a problem I see with a lot of artists, especially early on, is that they don't trust their intuition. They don't trust the process. So, what got me thinking about this was I ran a poll on a song of mine that I'm releasing. I had two different edits of the song. There was a part in the chorus where I was trying this thing. So, I thought it would be fun to set up a poll and ask the audience kind of like, which version do you like the most? Which one is exciting? And I thought, okay, it might be a nice way to like engage people and like invite the listener into the process. And after a few days, I think I got like three or four, I think three people. Yeah, three people actually kind of gave their opinions. And another person, my aunt actually, she left a comment which sparked this whole conversation. My aunt is a painter, and she used to go to these, and maybe she still does. She goes to these monthly art critiques where you bring your painting in, and the other artists all say, okay, tell me what's working, what's not working, what's distracting, blah, blah, blah. And she told me, she said, I'm finding these less and less valuable because at the end of the day, all their critiques are really about what they feel about my painting. And it's really just my feeling that counts. Like, I know when a piece is done. She basically said, you sort of know when something's done and when it's not, when it's taken you as far as you need it to take you, and you know when it's time to move on. And I can really relate to that. I used to run these virtual song circles, and we'd meet twice a month or whatever online, and we'd share our songs with each other and get feedback. And in the early days, it was really fun, exciting. It was nice to connect with other songwriters and to get some encouragement on my songs. But after a while, as I developed more my own songwriting, I started to trust my own intuition more, right? And these song circles started to become less valuable to me because I knew at the end of the day when my song was done or sounding right to me, or when a particular lyric worked. And that's not to say I didn't get some great feedback from people there. And feedback isn't bad. But the point is, we need to know when something is done. So I think the real skill we're learning to develop is knowing when it's time to say, okay, this piece, this song, it is saying what I want it to say, or it's doing a very good job, or it's doing something for me that is letting me know that, okay, I'm happy with this and I'm ready to move on. Or maybe I'm not happy with it, but you accept where you're at and you say, okay, like I could do that better next time, but this chasing after perfectionism. I wrote a piece on Substack called There's Always More at Lake, and it's taken from this quote from this watercolorist. Nita Engel is her name, I think. She says something about painting this portrait or landscape of a lake, and she said, well, I thought about extending the lake more, but there's always more lake. You can always extend something. You can always tweak a lyric. You can always edit a mix. You can always write another sentence or change the sentence. So knowing when enough is enough and knowing when it's time to stop, put the paintbrush down or bounce that mix out or whatever it may be. So how can we know when something is done? Like how can we figure this out? Let me give you a few questions that you can ask yourself, you can consider. First, ask yourself, is this piece of art, is this song, letter, essay, whatever, is it saying what I wanted it to say? Is it doing its job of conveying the message? If it is, that's a win. That alone is enough reason to move on, release it, whatever. Another question you might ask yourself is, did I get something from this experience? Did I get something from writing, producing this song? For me, I did. In the song I'm about to release, I really, I think, improved in my production skills and my guitar playing, and I felt like I did sort of level up. And to me, that was a win. And really, that's kind of the whole point of art. My mom said something really wise the other day about this. We were talking about perfectionism. And there's a part of us that always wants to be perfect at whatever we do. But she said, if we were all perfect at it, there'd be no reason to even pursue it. There'd be no challenge anymore. It'd be too easy. It's the challenge, it's the striving that makes the whole journey valuable. So ask yourself, did I get something out of this process? Did I grow as an artist? If you did, that is a win. And then ask yourself maybe too, if you're unsure about releasing something, ask yourself, am I waiting for the approval or the permission of other people to say when this piece is done? And you have to sort of be honest with yourself. You have to ask yourself, am I afraid of what other people might say? And of course, I'm afraid of what people might say. I bet everybody. I mean, you're putting a piece of your soul out into the world for people to judge. So that's a little scary, right? But check in with yourself and see if you are, waiting for permission from other people. Or maybe you are too attached to trying to make it perfect. And, one of the biggest mysteries, maybe not mysteries, rarely spoken about subjects, wow, that was hard to get that out, is I lost it. I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. Accepting where you are as an artist. We all wish we could sound like our heroes, but greatness takes time. And there's a great mural in my neighborhood that I will grab a picture of and share it with you, because greatness takes time. And we need to be okay with accepting where we're at. The good news is nobody really cares what you're doing. Everyone's so busy with their own lives. So it's okay to quote unquote suck for a while, even though you probably don't suck. It's just that whole idea. It's okay to be bad in public, but again, it's scary. So check in, ask yourself, am I letting perfectionism stop me? And if so, yeah, that's hard, and that's something that you need to, put in its place. You need to accept where you're at and be like, okay, if it was perfect, I wouldn't even be doing this anymore. It wouldn't even, and you just can't, perfection just doesn't even exist. So that whole thing, that whole rabbit hole, just check yourself, see if you're in there or not. And then one more question you can ask yourself. If nobody ever hears my song, or nobody ever sees my painting or reads my poem, would I still feel complete leaving it as it is and moving on? Would it still feel like it's done to me? And if it is, you're done. Now, one more thing I want to say about feedback, because in the beginning I talked about how, sometimes we can substitute trusting ourselves for other people's feedback to tell us when something is done. Feedback is not bad. Feedback is great. But there's a caveat. When you're just starting out, you don't know much, feedback is really helpful to orient yourself to the playing field. You start to know who the players are. You start to know what the boundaries are. You start to learn the language of the game. But as you go further in your creative journeying, you start to develop your own sense of the game. You develop an intuition for it. And you also learn at the same time that everyone's opinion, you have to take with a grain of salt. Even the opinions that you most desire to hear, they might not say what you want them to say. They might not understand what you were trying to say in that piece of work. And you just start to realize, like, everyone's got their own opinion, and none of them, they may not make me happy. They may not say what I want them to say. And it's about them. That's really like the most revealing thing. It's about their perception of your art. So you start to realize, okay, they've got an opinion. I can take this, I can leave it. But at the end of the day, it's my own intuition. It's my own trusting. It's my own knowing. Has this song said what I want it to say? You know, did I get something out of this piece of art, and that I am happy with that, and I can move on because I am excited for the next project. And what I've learned is that it's nice to have a few people that you look for a very specific type of feedback. They're not trying to change your art. They're not trying to muddy the water at all. They are standing beside you almost, not in front of you, judging. It's more just like collaborating. And sometimes those people are really helpful, like having a mastering engineer that you can send your mix off to, and they tell you if you're, way too bright in the 12K range or something like that, and they save you from these little mistakes you might have made. They have nothing to say really about the art. It's more of a technical thing. Those people are also handy to have, very handy to have feedback from them. So feedback is not all bad, right? So in the end, just to kind of bring this back around again, I ended up going with a completely different edit, an edit that I felt was the right edit. And I'll play you a clip of that song right now.
What could I do to find what's mine and stay? I won't be okay till I find the head and gold. The head and gold. I'm running out of time. Heaven knows. Yes, I'll be.
So I hope you got a little something out of this video. I hope you have started to realize, or unless you may already understand this, but you have to take the feedback of other people with a grain of salt. It's not, they can't give you permission to know when something's done. You need to trust yourself. And I believe deep down, we all know when something we've created is hitting the mark and feeding a part of our soul, reflecting back to us something that we wish to express. We all know when a piece is doing that and when it's not. And what really is the thing is just trusting yourself and not being afraid of putting it out there and getting feedback. Unsolicited feedback that's good and feedback that's bad. Everyone's opinion is just their own perception. So take that with a very small grain of salt. Thanks so much for watching this video. Subscribe to the channel if you want more practical songwriting and mindset tips on songwriting and creative stuff. All right, bye.